Hello Capricorn, welcome to your tarot reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. This is a timeless reading, which means whenever you happen to be watching this reading was meant to find you. Please hit the like button, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. This is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And there is a Four of Cups. Interesting. Let's see. I might know where this is going already. We're going to do our Dove and Serpent spread. And as I do this, I would also like to say, if there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know in the comments. I do read every comment. Okay. We're going to finish up here with the path of the serpent. Sure, those are. This looks pretty nice. I think we're going to have an interesting read, I think. We're going to do a mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. And yeah, let's continue with Rider-Waite. I've been liking Rider-Waite-Smith lately. Gotta recognize Pamela Coleman-Smith. And there's our mystery card, Frog on top. We're going to put that right there. We're not going to look at it until the very end. Hopefully it will tie everything together and give us the confirmation that we need, right? So we've got major, major, major. That's interesting. We've got some air, some water, some fire. We've got some earth over here, right? And then a little more fire, water. It's pretty balanced. I like that we have these major arcana at the top and the sides on the path of the dove, creating a bit of a triangle, a bit of an arrow kind of pointing up. So I feel like you're really, you're on a spiritual path. You're making spiritual progress, and your inner growth is really important to you right now, okay? I feel like with the two, or the Four of Cups here, it's the Two of Cups doubled, right? So it's the sense of love and compassion within us as a Two of Cups that we want to extend into the outer world to make that Four of Cups, right? To create this balance, this stability, this harmony, this kind of peacefulness, right? So it kind of feels to me like you're someone who, I don't think you apologize too easily, right? I don't think you ask for forgiveness unless you really feel like you've done something wrong. You're not someone that'll just, try to patronize or placate someone by offering up a kind of half-hearted apology, right? I don't think that you apologize too often. Unless, like I said, unless you really feel like you've done something worth apologizing for, right? Or that warrants it. So I feel like right now there is an exception to this rule, okay? Because of this Princess of Swords that we see crossing your path right now. I think this is someone who's been in your readings fairly often in the past few weeks and months. Probably an air sign person. They may be younger than you, a little bit immature. They may be the kind of mischief maker or troublemaker that we've been dealing with sometimes. I feel like you're in this place in your life where you kind of want to like reconcile with this person a little bit, make amends. You want to kind of apologize, right? Even though nowhere in any of these readings was it indicated that this was your fault, right? That you did something wrong. But I feel like you want to reach out and you want to kind of just settle it and have this peace and forgiveness kind of all around, you know? But that doesn't come easy to you. But I feel like there's still a lingering issue with this air sign person that you want to put behind you, right? The Four of Cups here is a bit like a ship that's kind of anchored in a bay or in a cove, you know? ready to move on, but is having trouble cutting the anchor, right? Or raising the anchor up. So I feel like you're focused on all of your progress. You're focused on your spiritual evolution and your physical success and your physical life and kind of moving on with things. But there's the lingering issue with that air sign person that is just kind of nagging at you, right? I feel like you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe your role in this was you maybe responded to their activities, their behaviors, in maybe a bit of an angry way. We do have a 5 of Wands down here beneath everything. So what you might feel a little bit of regret over is just kind of how you reacted to them, how you responded to their mischief making, their troublemaking, their immaturity, their behavior, the problems that they sort of created, right? So I feel like that's kind of, maybe the way you handled it, you're not quite comfortable with. So you have this feeling that you need some sort of closure with this person. You need to either just kind of have an all-around forgiveness, or you need to apologize, or you need to in some way, have a conversation with them or reach out to them in some way to just say, hey, there's no hard feelings here, right? Everything's forgiven, it's fine. For your own peace of mind, though, not because you feel like you've done anything wrong, not because this person needs your forgiveness or they can't move on. I don't know anything about them. But I feel like for you, it's important for you to put this behind you, because what we see in the past, the present, the future, as far as your spiritual evolution, your spiritual work, your business too, the work that you do on the physical plane, right? I kind of have this feeling like you run your own business, or you're in business with your family or something like that. There's a very kind of close-knit organization with you. It could be, family business kind of thing. And I feel like you have a lot of plans. You really are looking to expand, to increase your reach. Now, this doesn't have to be a business, for money. It could be a charitable organization, a community organization. It could be some kind of, an art collective. It could be a magical order. It could be a religious group or a study group, whatever it is. It's some kind of an organized group of people that I feel like you're kind of in charge of or responsible for. You're kind of the leader of that, right? So it feels like a family to me. Well, with the 4 of Cups here, there is this sense of needing to let this thing go, right? Something is still weighing you down about this that we need to let go of, we need to overcome, we need to be able to move on from it, right? And that, I think, is involving an air sign person, like I said. I feel like you are resistant to this, this forgiving, this apology kind of thing. You know that you need some sort of closure, but there's part of you that is just resistant to it because you didn't do anything wrong. You don't feel like you should apologize. And so there's this reluctance. You're kind of trying to avoid it, right? The Princess of Swords here is trying to avoid things, trying to fend something off. And that could just be the knowledge and the reality that, yes, I need some sort of closure here. Because I can't move on really emotionally or energetically until this is finished, until it's behind me, right? And, of course, we do have that 5 of Wands, which deep down, you know that you may have reacted in a sort of way that, you maybe could have handled it better, something like that. You didn't cause this situation, but perhaps, maybe you could have reacted differently. Something along those lines, okay? And I think that's what you really feel like you need to have this closure for, right? So that you can just kind of basically say, I'm sorry for how I reacted. It's still all your fault, but I'm sorry for how I behaved. Maybe don't say that first part. And I think that this is still lingering in you, because I don't feel like you're someone that gets angry very quickly. I don't think you're someone that uses force and fire to deal with a situation. I feel like you're much more tactful, subtle. You're much more reserved, and you're much more gentle, I think is the word, right? But you definitely have fire in you. Without a doubt, you have fire in you. And I think maybe a little bit too much of the fire came out dealing with that air sign person. And so now we get this Four of Cups. We need to let it go so we can move on, because there are great things happening in your life right now. We don't want to be weighed down. We don't want to have this as our anchor. Okay? Whoever this person is, again, I don't know if they're a younger family member. Maybe it was someone that you had a romantic relationship with, or it was kind of a business, a family kind of thing, but there's something personal about it. Okay? In the past, what is behind you is this Justice or Adjustment card. This is talking about the reconciling of this issue. Whatever happened with that person has been finished, resolved, completed, whether it was a legal thing, whether it was a business something, whether it was just the scales have been readjusted and balanced again. Whatever they did has been corrected. Whatever loss you may have suffered has been restored. Like in an official business kind of way, everything's even and fair now, right? Everything's been corrected. So it's not really that there's any kind of legal stuff that needs to be done, any kind of business issues that are still lingering. It's this lingering emotional thing. This kind of emotional anchor is weighing us down. So whatever they had done to wrong you has been corrected. Okay, but there is that possibility that with this Five of Wands down here, that maybe we tip the scale in the other way. Maybe our reaction wasn't in proportion to what they had done, right? To their behavior. Maybe we kind of overreacted. And that would tip these scales a little bit in the other direction. So it could be why this card is showing up here, because I had assumed that the actual circumstances have been resolved, they're behind us, but there's this lingering emotional issue. It could be because the scales aren't quite balanced yet, because there was a bit of too much energy, expressed into the situation. So that could be why that's there, Hermit energy. We've been getting the Hermit a lot for Capricorn lately, I feel. But this is at the top of the path of the Dove. This is a real focus for you on your spiritual development, spiritual evolution, right? I almost feel like you're trying to trim the fat from your life. You're trying to get rid of, you're trying to shed all of these anchors, really. There could be more than one. All of these situations, feelings, relationships, issues that are preventing your spiritual growth, preventing your evolution, preventing the success on the physical plane as well. What we see on the path of the Serpent, I feel like, is mostly the evolution of your physical life, your business, or whatever the work is that you do, okay? So the Hermit is you kind of, you trying to get rid of those negative influences in your life, those negative people, situations, your relationships with people, with circumstances, with those elements that bring out the kind of negative stuff in you, the distractions, the wastes of energy, right? It's kind of trying to patch up any of the holes in our boat here. Any kind of energy leakages. We're pulling the cloak tight over our shoulders. We're hunching down. We're trying to avoid the debris. We're trying to avoid the storm. We're trying to we're trying to go within and shield ourselves from the outside world a little bit so that we can reconnect with this lamp that's within us. That spiritual light, that soul, that higher self, God, Goddess, deity, guardian angel, spirit guides, whatever you want to call it. I feel like we're working to reconnect with that, and sometimes in order to do that, we have to, I was going to say isolate, but not really isolate. We have to sequester ourselves a little bit from the influences of the world. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to stay home and hide in your closet or something. Even in a crowded room, in a busy street, even with a busy life, we can strive to not identify with things as much, not to connect with certain energies, influences, circumstances, people, thoughts, ideas, beliefs, behaviors, whatever it may be, right? We can try, while we still have responsibilities, we're still interacting with the world, we at times can strive to not identify so much with every aspect of it, especially these emotional issues, because I think the reason why this is an anchor now is because we're so identified with this fiery response that we had, okay? And it stands out in your mind and in your heart as something that was something that you feel was not you, but you became that in the moment. And I don't think you like that, right? It's because we're so identified with that emotion. Maybe it was anger, frustration, maybe, you kind of, you had an overreaction, right? We're identified with that, thinking that is who we are, where that is just a wave of heat that came over us and had left again, But still we identify with it and we feel like that is us. So the Hermit here is really kind of turning away from identifying so closely with the elements of the world, with our own emotions, our thoughts, our ideas, the behaviors of others. We're so attached to all of these things. And the Hermit is a little bit about detachment, right? Turning within and trying to rid ourselves of some of these things so that we can perceive the light, so that we can perceive the candle that Spirit has placed in the window to kind of show us the way, right? Show us the way home. So the Hermit energy, I think, is very important for you. Again, it's not about isolation. It's about a struggle toward non-attachment, right? To a certain degree. It's never going to be perfect. But something that we can work toward, or make an effort toward. Even if we fail 9 times out of 10, we're still making the effort to realize that, okay, my feelings, those feelings are not the self, right? My relationships, my complicated relationships with other people, those are not the self. Those are not spirit. Those are not the light that I'm carrying within me, okay? In the immediate future, we've got the universe or world card. I kind of feel like this is an open-ended kind of card right now. I feel like this is showing that, look, we really want this future of freedom to be ourselves, to succeed, to pursue our goals, to create, to shine our light. But right now it's kind of uncertain. It's kind of open-ended. This card seems to be saying that, right now we're not going anywhere because we're anchored. But really, this is the vast ocean of existence, and you could sail anywhere. But you're not going anywhere as long as we're anchored to these things that are keeping us kind of in this cove, right? Keeping us from So it's kind of a tease a little bit, right? Kind of saying, look, you could have anything you want, but you're not going anywhere, so you're not going to get any of this. So it could be motivation to really break these chains, to cut these anchors, so that we can get on with this movement, right? And we can realize the, and perhaps identify, talking about identifying with, things, identifying with the universe as one entire entity, right? Identifying our soul with spirit, with the, whatever you want to call it, right? With the infinite. And that might be something worth identifying with, at least for a moment. It sounds very mystical, but it may provide a different perspective on things, So I think that this is kind of this is the method, this is the destination, and this is the universe or spirit teasing you a little bit, trying to get you riled up, trying to get you motivated, saying, look, you could have all of this. You've just got to make the moves, Let's go to the path of the serpent now. And the first card, General Energy, Princess of Cups. I think that this is the attempt to disengage from our own emotions a little bit, right? We're not denying them. We are not, we're not trying to counteract them. If you're feeling miserable, well, you don't just put on the biggest smile you can and pretend you're happy. That doesn't work. That doesn't solve it. So it's not about trying to change our emotions. It's not about denying our emotions. This card is saying, let's treat every emotion like it's the first time we've met it, right? It's the Princess of Cups. It's still new. It's like still learning how to be the queen, right? The mature, in charge, responsible party. How to really own the role, It's just beginning. So the princess meets everybody for the first time. All of the emotions, whatever emotion comes to you, greet it like it's the first time you've met it, even if it's a negative emotion. Anger. Okay. Hello, anger. Nice to meet you. It sounds silly. But looking at it in an objective way prevents us from immediately identifying with it. Oh, here comes anger, my old friend. Here comes anger, my real self. Here I come again, this anger. Whereas if it's a new experience, if we're trying to be, I guess more objective, which is obviously an impossibility, right? These are subjective things, subjective existence, and these feelings are, I think probably completely subjective. But all we can do is strive, right? Like this hermit energy. We can just try and struggle and fail, but keep trying. Even if maybe one time out of 100 we make a little bit of progress, that's still progress, So we try to not identify with every emotion and treat everything as if we're experiencing it for the first time, And I think that has its own risks because sometimes emotions can be very overpowering, right? So if this is the first time encountering something like a wave of anger, it might just wash over us and we get completely lost in it. So there is a need for being very cautious and very careful and not taking this to the extreme where we just completely lose ourselves in that emotion, because that's more than us identifying with an emotion. That's like the emotion identifying with us, and we get completely lost, So there needs to be a caution, there needs to be an attention, an awareness You know, we need to remain conscious of ourselves and of what we're doing and of the situation around us. Okay. And I think this is also relating to this current anchor that we're dealing with that air sign person. There needs to be some tact there as well. The way you handle that situation, if it is a situation where you need to reach out and express your feelings, your apology, or whatever it may be, we have to be careful doing that, because that kind of emotion, even though it seems like a good emotion or a friendly emotion, that could overwhelm us too, and we could end up identifying with that, and we do ourselves a disservice. We create perhaps another anchor. So we really have to be aware of, what am I going to say? We have to be aware of which emotions we're giving the attention to, right? Because it's impossible to just have emotions and not identify with them and just be completely, like you're an observer, right? I mean, unless you're in that kind of state of meditation 24 hours a day, I feel anyway, that it's quite difficult to resist identifying with an emotion. So we have to be very cautious of what emotions are coming to us and acknowledge them and strive and struggle through this hermit energy to not completely get lost in that emotion, but we still have to kind of be selective about it, you know. And it's perhaps this card is talking about identifying with specific emotions intentionally, right? If you feel a love or a gratitude, or if you feel this kind of forgiving energy, maybe that can be identified with a little bit, as an exercise of control and for its own sake, right? Love and forgiveness, I think those are great qualities. But we want to be aware that we're doing it, you know? And it's primarily these negative emotions, and we're kind of back here with this fire again. It's mostly with those negative emotions. Those seem to be the ones that we can identify with so easily. But the positive emotions, for some reason, we're more resistant to identify with those. I don't know why that is. The ones that are destructive, the ones that are negative, anger and hatred and frustration, those seem to be so strong that we lose ourselves in those. Before we're even aware of it, it's happened, So this is about being aware when those moments are kind of threatening to overtake us, to be aware of what's going on. And as an exercise in control and in awareness, let's identify with those positive emotions. In a case like this, where you have to, cut this anchor, you're trying to resolve this issue, put this behind you, whether this involves reaching out to that person or not, even if it's just something you're working out internally. If you're feeling a hint of love or forgiveness or gratitude, grab onto that, pull that one closer, right? And then also practice letting that go as well, because we're not trying to pull in new anchors, It could be this one anchor is tangled up with a bunch of other anchors. We pull one in, now we've got 5, and we're worse than when we started. I know that this reading is a little bit abstract or something, but I feel like you're really struggling with this particular person, this particular air sign person. And I think that this is probably the same person that's been around for a long time, in and out of your life. has caused problems in the past. And again, the fire energy, I think there came a point, I don't know, maybe in the last 8 months or something, where you've had enough. You really put your foot down. You really let loose and lashed out a little bit against your better judgment, against like how you kind of normally react to things. But damn it, you had enough, you know. And I think you're entitled to that kind of response. So it could be that a lot of this is you forgiving yourself for the way that you responded to them. You know, maybe that's it. The next card now is this Four of Wands. I feel like this fire energy, whatever this kind of overreaction, this intense like outburst of energy, I feel like that really can be channeled now into productive, constructive work, right? I think if you forgive this person, forgive yourself, you move on from this anchor, this issue, don't let go of this fire energy. You've done the work of identifying it, learning how to work with it and control it, right? Not getting attached to it, not letting it overcome you, but utilizing it as you need it, grabbing onto the positive aspects of things. Well, this fire energy is not just negative emotions. This can be any emotion with that kind of intensity that can just kind of take over our consciousness, you know. But if we do the work of awareness and we can harness this fire energy, well, this now can be used to move your ship, for one thing, get this boat moving into the infinite ocean, right? Get sailing again. And get producing whatever goal, whatever success, whatever kind of achievements you're after in your life. Okay? I think you have a lot of things that you want to do. There are a lot of accomplishments that you want to achieve. And taking some of this fire energy and harnessing it, applying it to these projects, the work that you do. It could be business, employment, it could be financial, it could be creative work, you could be in retirement, it could be with your family, friends, whatever it might be. Okay. We've got to harness this fire energy. Don't push it down, don't let it go. Don't try to get rid of it. We have to use it, we have to be aware of it, and we have to use it for constructive things, right? Because again, any of these cards, they're not positive or negative. Depends on what they're in relation to. You know, if we're taking this fire energy in relation to this air sign and this water energy, well, this is kind of a negative emotion. This is kind of a lashing out, an outburst, an overreaction that you had here. But this fire energy applied here, because this is fire too, the Four of Wands, applied to your manifested life, your physical existence, business, your health, your family, projects, creativity, all this manifested stuff. This fire energy is the creative fire, right? This is your energy and ambition and enthusiasm, all of these really great qualities that you should be practicing identifying with, right? And then also practice letting them go and detaching from them. You don't want to be overcome or overwhelmed by any of them, positive or negative, you know. But you could really apply this energy to do really great things. So I think getting over this issue, cutting this anchor, dealing with this situation is going to allow you to work on your kind of emotional intelligence, your self-awareness, and harness this fire energy to create the life that you're looking for, to make the achievements that you're after. Now let's look at that mystery card. I wonder, maybe Hierophant? Maybe Emperor? Maybe a Six of Cups. I always say it's going to be the Six of Cups because I feel like at the end we kind of just need a cold drink and a relax, you know? And I think that the Six of Cups would give us that. Just to reassure everyone, let us know that, look, things are going to be great. You know, this seems like a big mess of energy, but things are going to be really good. Things are going to flow. Let's see what we have. we have the Empress. So this is probably even better, because the Empress is someone who owns their emotional life. They are completely aware of all of these things. They've done the work of this Princess of Cups. And they've grown and they've matured. Now they are growing their garden. They are nurturing the appropriate plants. They are weeding their garden, right? They have really come into their power. And the Empress, I think, is the energy that can harness the fire energy, right? Because what is the counterpart to the Empress? Well, it's that Emperor that I was kind of predicting. The Empress is who kind of controls that Emperor, controls that very authoritative fire energy. It's the Empress that does that. The Empress is behind the throne, calling all the shots, right? So this, I think, is you manifesting, growing, nurturing your life and your emotions, really being in tune with yourself and controlling that fire energy to manifest your future. And this is really exciting. I'm very happy about this. I'm sorry that this was a bit of a long reading, Capricorn. I always connect really well with Capricorn, and so these tend to go a little bit long. We're going to do an extended, and if you would like to check that out, please click on the link that's right here. Then you'll have access to all of the extended readings for Capricorn and for all of the zodiac signs. This was your timeless reading, which means whenever you're watching this, it was meant to find you. I really hope you leave me a comment. I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. We are growing really fast. We're creating such a wonderful community here that it really warms my heart. It's really beautiful to see. I'm always in the comments reading everybody's comments, and it's so overwhelming to me in like a really good way, you know, because we're building such a lovely community, and I'm very thankful for that. This was your tarot reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot.